Just saw it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, on my screen it says Zoom contacting YouTube. Uh, Hi, this is Zoom. Is this YouTube? Hi, I got the band Break Time and John Henry Soda online. Yeah, let them through.
Oh, let me patch you through. What is your zip code?
That's
Uh,
interesting.
I'll put you in contact with the right provider.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much. This is John Henry Soto here. Welcome to Music Makers with JHS and Break Time. We got
Yeah.
50% of break time in the
Yeah,
house
we've
today.
got a failing grade of break time.
Break Time Academy.
Class,
uh,
few.
yeah. So,
Sure.
yeah, thanks guys for being consistent on this, and I appreciate you guys.
We love
So
doing
one
it.
of the things
Yeah.
that one of the things that I've always since I guess since the crash of the record companies, which I lived through, because um I saw it happen, right? And I always tell about this one story when I went to, and I think I've mentioned it even here, but I went to Sony Music and I got off on the wrong floor, like this one time, and there was like literally
It was a dead floor.
nothing. I
Yeah.
remember it was the 17th floor, and I walked out and it was dark. Like the lights from the outside, were because it was daytime, so you can see the lights, but it was just like cubicles and everything was dim except for the lights from the outside. And I was like, whoa. So I went and there was a maintenance guy there. And he's like, yeah, you on the wrong floor. And I was like, so I got curious. I was like, what's on this floor? And he was like, nothing. He's like, there's like 10 other floors like this. I was like, really? And I was like, wow. I was like, so they basically have an empty building, which I'm sure that if they were smart, I'm sure that they've leased it out to other companies, maybe even smaller record labels that they would just take under their wing and
Yeah,
and
they, they
uh
were
and
they were
use.
leasing it at the time. They were leasing
Yeah,
it to the invisible people.
right, exactly.
They were
That
paying an
seems what's
invisible
going
money.
on
It
there.
didn't translate.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy what was happening. So what we went through was we came in an era where you needed a record label in order to get any kind of exposure, or and really what it is it's the distribution, right? That's really where the that's really what's difficult, right? Because today we can all record records, what I mean, we have the most professional equipment that we're able to have. We can do the highest quality mastering. We can do radio quality records right here. This guy, so we can do
These
that. You
things.
know what I mean?
These.
And one of the things that you couldn't do back in the day was, studio time was expensive and recording was expensive. So the record companies took that on. They paid for it. You paid them by record sales, and then they'd be squared away. But now, since that's not the case anymore, record companies stopped looking for that. They started looking for more established artists that had already a record and stuff that they can just kind of take, maybe clean it up and then put them out, and very little work for them to do. But that wasn't happening because a lot of these younger labels kind of made their own record companies, and they started making money, on their own. And um, I had a friend, believe it or not. Um, yeah, it was one.
That could be a new web series. John
Yeah,
Henry
I
Soto
had a
starring
friend.
in I Had a Friend.
Yeah,
Well,
friend.
actually, Conan O'Brien has one, has a podcast called Conan Needs a Friend. So I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's pretty hilarious. I like Conan.
John, you should write in your songwriting book. I
Yeah,
had a friend. You could write a
I
song
had a
called
friend.
I Had a Friend.
I had a friend. I can't talk to Rachel.
If you don't know
Oh,
what that's referencing, go watch the last couple
yeah, that's
videos
right.
after we're done with this one.
Yeah, right. That'll be the incentive. So, I had a friend that actually had a group, and he was signed with a label for a little while, and it didn't work out. Whatever, they got out of that contract, and then he got into another group, and they started producing their own records because this is when things started being able to, you can do that actually. And he was telling me he was making way more money just with the with his own, selling his own records. He did like CD Baby back in the day. Remember? I don't know. I think they're still around, but
Yeah.
they had a big giant, kind of a warehouse where you send them CDs and they hold on to it, and then people can buy it from there. And there was downloads when that came about. They're probably still around. And so that became like the thing. And now with the Reverb Nation, I don't know if you guys aren't on, you guys are on there?
I've heard of
Reverb
it.
Nation, Bandcamp,
Yeah.
those
Well,
websites.
Reverb Nation is really good, and Lou, who's actually one of the owners, he was a fan of Metanoise, the hip hop group that I was involved with the label, and I met him a bunch of times, and he's a really nice guy, and they got a really nice platform where you can go on there, you can sell your music through there, you can you can do marketing through there, and obviously there's some paid services because that's how they make their money, but the paid services are really worthwhile. So I would recommend anybody just take a look at Reverb Nation, or just have an account on there, because it's free to open up an account and dump a bunch of music on there for free. So I'm like, why not do that? This way it's a platform, so that's always a good idea. But what are your thoughts? I mean, you guys are just starting out. You're the egg has hatched, right? And you guys have coming out, and you got, I don't even know what sound that is, but you guys are kind of like, you're still in the nest. You're all still kind of moist. Cool.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's an interesting way of putting it.
That's a
You're all still kind of
descriptor.
moist and kind of like
That's
kicking
kind
off the
That's
shells.
the kind of moist.
Kind of moist and kicking off the shells off your butts, being like, so you're kind of getting out there now. You get, now somebody's got to push you off the nest, and you guys got to fly. So in that stage that you guys are in, and you guys are far ahead than that. I'm only joking around, but
We're ahead of
do
our
you
time.
guys are you guys looking for the record deal? Is that your ultimate thing? I mean, or is it something that you would take it if it feels right, or what would you do in that situation?
Who are we going to first? Is that a Tommy question or a Sean question, or both?
I mean, it's
You
probably.
guys work that out on your own.
All right.
your-
So
In your moist nest, you guys work that out.
okay.
You can go
All
first.
right. So, um, well, considering that the current state of the industry, it is possible for artists and bands to make ends meet and make a lot of money as independent artists, because of the facts that you laid out before. Equipment is very very good equipment is out there that is only like a couple $100, which isn't bad, or under $100 is still very workable equipment. Um, there's the equipment. There's the fact that now it's easier, like more than ever, to reach out to an audience with social media and get your marketing from free softwares like Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat. It's a tough question to say really what we're going for, but right now, uh, if a good deal comes, I guess we would accept it, but that deal has to ensure that Break Time has control at least over their music. That's a tough proposition
Yeah.
in today's age, given how uh, obsessed the market is now, obsessed the music companies are at making money and not wanting to take the gambles like they used to in like the 60s and the 70s.
Right.
So
Right.
the main caveat really, as is for I imagine all artists, is that they can have their creative freedom, because the biggest as I said, the biggest caveat that drives a lot of people away from record deals is
Right.
they're taking control of my music. I can't do that. I'll find a way on my own.
Right.
And there has to be some way to circumvent that, and people have figured it out, but they're not getting the same distribution um, as they would with the immense resources of a record company. So I
Yeah.
guess we would take a deal as long as it's the right deal.
Yeah. I think
That's
that's
the-
probably
yeah.
a reasonable reasonable way to look at it. What do you think, Tommy? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what Sean just said because I just feel like, if a deal's not right, then obviously, you shouldn't take it. But, if you can work around the deal a little bit and maybe get them, like in this case with the, controlling the songs issue,
Right.
um, if there's any way to work around that with the company, I mean, then basically, take the deal,
Yeah.
and again, as long as it's a good deal.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
rare to come
Yeah. I
by.
mean, yeah, exactly. And I think part of the reason why is because there's a lot of money in publishing, and that's where the money
Hmm.
really goes. Because if you guys are in a band and you, Sean, write a song from start to finish and it's your song and it's got the name on it, words and music by Sean. Tommy writes a song, words and music by Tommy, and then you guys go out and Tommy's song hits number one. Tommy's a rich man, but you guys might not be.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You guys are in the band and it's fine, but it's just a weird
yeah,
thing that happens. It's sort of
Yeah.
like
It's
it's
very
kind of like
dog.
Bon Jovi. It's like the Bon Jovi thing. Bon Jovi. A lot of people think that Bon Jovi was the band, but it was John Bon Jovi and his guys. He wrote these songs. He's the rich guy. You know what I mean? The other guys are rich too because they was in a big, huge, successful band. But he's the guy that every time those songs play on the radio, his bank account is going up. Every single time. Um, so the publishing is really that's why I talk a lot about the distribution and because if you can get a distribution deal, if you can somehow manage, I don't even know really how that works, but there's a whole bunch of people and gurus out there that will tell you how to get a distribution deal. I'm going to show you how, and some of them might be legit, some of them I
I'll
don't
show
know.
you
I'm
for
gonna show you
five,
how to do it.
Yeah.
$5 a day.
Yeah. That's just a taste. Now, if you get my 72-hour course, I'm going to go over step by step. And just for $12,000,
Just
you
for a
can-
measly $12,000.
how about if I just take $12,000 and invest it in promoting my band?
How about if I just take it?
That's like the Nigerian prince email that
Right.
everybody gets. If you give me $12, I'll come back and I'll give you 12 million.
That is like the most. I can't. Anyway,
Ah,
if someone out there fell for that, they're probably too embarrassed to admit it. But
uh-huh.
I would love to talk to somebody. And go, it sounded really legit.
That would be a great episode. That would be a great Zoom episode.
He seemed like he was really in distress. He wanted to save this money that this king had, but he couldn't get the money unless he had $12,000 first. So I sent him the $12,000. Never heard from him again.
He needed to raise an army with $12,000.
So the distribution and the owning your songs, the publishing is really where the focus is, I think, for today. And that's why I say, you can get an account on ASCAP. I don't know if you guys
Mhm.
know what ASCAP is. Yeah, so get an account on ASCAP. Paul Williams is a friend of mine. He's actually the president of ASCAP. Name dropped.
Honk!
But
We're
he
just gonna honk
became the
every time
president.
this name drops.
Honk. Yeah. but yeah, he actually recommends it, obviously, and but he's actually has a lot of integrity, and he loves songwriters. That's why he's the president of ASCAP, and I've been a member since like 2005 or something, and the protection, what they basically do, and they've been increasing it ever since. I don't know how it is now with this situation now, obviously, how it's going to end off at the end of the year, but every year, it's been, they almost collected, I think it was 2018, they almost got almost $1 billion of royalties for songwriters. That's a lot of money. That means that the artists, people are getting paid, songwriters, and so this is one of the things that early on you guys should, educate yourselves on.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously there's the the rest of the stuff. I mean, there's all the there's all the technical
Uh-huh.
performing stuff, right? You got to perform, you got to smile, all the stuff that'll come natural as you guys just do it more and more. That's just in you, so that's not a thing. But then there's the business side of it, right? The booking of the shows and all that stuff. And then there's this part of it, which is the overall real business of it. The stuff that can really hurt you later on. Like, I mean, so
Yeah.
many artists, Billy Joel is one of them. Obviously, the
Mhm.
Beatles
Yep.
had problems.
Hey,
And
Paul, I got your publishing.
yeah. And you know what?
Well,
If Paul McCartney did not have the tremendous success he had after the Beatles, he
mhm.
would not be able to get those songs back.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even be able to come close. If he didn't go to Wings and have those big hits and then do a solo career and just constantly be so revered, as he is,
Hmm.
he would not have been able to get those songs back. So
Mhm.
that would be a travesty. And I
Yeah.
don't think Billy Joel owns his publishing right now. He lost a lot of money. A couple of managers took him, and when he was at the height of his career in the like in the mid '80s or something, he was like had no money. He was like trying to figure it out because he just sits there. He just wants to write. And that's really the reason why the business exists and why you need ethical people to be in the business.
Yeah.
Because when you put your whole art into someone's hands and you say, just manage this for me, and I'm just gonna create art. You really want to have somebody there that is not, you're not gonna turn around and be like, what do you mean I have no money? Like TLC, that those hip hop guys, they sold like 10 million records. Then they all went home with like $5,000 in the bank each. It was like, what just happened to us? You know what I mean? It was like, and it's also the excess. All those limousines, those fancy
Mhm.
dinners, those fancy hotels that you're
Gotta
staying
know
in.
how to manage that
Record
money.
company ain't paying for that. You're paying for that,
Mhm.
So I don't think they realize that, and that's where education comes in.
Mhm. Gotta know how
Young,
to run the books
yeah, exactly, exactly. So now let's talk about a little bit about oh, sorry, you guys hear that?
slightly.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
just
Quite
my
slightly.
quite.
Slightly.
my mouse thing. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the independent side. Like the majors are the majors. Matter of fact, I just pulled up a statistic I wanted to go over real quick. So in 2012, right, this was the digital and physical revenue market share of the largest record companies worldwide from 2012 to 2018. So EMI had like a 7%, not a lot. Universal Music was at 31%. Sony Music was at 22%. Warner Music was at 14, and independent labels were at 24%. Now, I'm not going to go all the way to 18, but let me go into the middle, like 2015. So that Sony Music went up to, did they go up? Sony Music, no, they stayed about the same actually. Sony Music stayed at 22%. Universal, who's always been pretty consistent, they went up to 33%. Warner Brothers was at 14% in 2015. They in 2012, 2015 they were at 17%. Now independent labels went from 24 to 26%. Now come to 2018, where Sony Music is now down 19%. Universal Music is up. I'm sorry, Universal Music is down from 31 to 29. Warner Music is from 14 to 16%. They actually went up, but independent labels went from 24% to 33% in 7 years. So that's a big jump. That's like a 10% jump in revenue for digital and physical copies and stuff. So that was 2018. So that means that we're probably 2019 was more, which I don't have those stats, but and now obviously with COVID, things are gonna be a little bit
People are going to be looking
different.
for music harder than before.
Right, and I think the independent labels, I think that's gonna go up, and the record labels are gonna go down. Because how can they afford to, get an artist and give them a $100,000 signing bonus, a $200,000, half a million sometimes these artists, when they really don't know what's going to sell because an independent artist, the issue is that the overhead of an independent label today is so low now. You know what I mean? Like it's so low. Like I can literally have a state of the art studio in my house. State of the art. The best that you could buy in my house, right? In the old days, you couldn't do that. 15 years ago, you couldn't do that. That's not even the old days for me. I mean, that was seems like yesterday. And so we're really looking at a completely new way of looking at the industry. There's a renaissance. More record labels are going to pop up, and the ones that are going to succeed are the ones that are the most educated in not just the music, but in the business, because sometimes great music unfortunately doesn't get heard, and social music gets heard because they have this thing, is this machine that they're involved in, that they're plugged into. But imagine if you had both. You had good music and you knew about the machine and you had your own machine.
Yeah, and have organization.
You're gonna kill it. You know what I mean? You're gonna kill it. It's really about sitting down and educating yourself on all that, and making, you got to be tough, right? Because the industry is tough. If you get a manager, the manager's got to, he can't be a softy. You don't want a guy to start being a yes man. I mean, you want a smart guy that's not going to be like, you need somebody that,
Tell it like
if
it
you
is,
look,
man.
yeah, if you know exactly, if you look at any really really nice managers, I'll show you probably not a really a successful band. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, managers have to, they get the brunt of it because they're the ones that have to go out there and say, no, I'm not bringing my band for that amount of money. Sorry, it's got to be this, and then they'll get mad and whatever. It's not a personal thing. It's just that what it costs, we already know what it costs.
Yeah.
If it costs $10,000 to bring a band from here to California, because of the flights, the hotels, the moving of the equipment, the crew, it costs 10 grand. Then we need to make 25 grand to pay the 10 grand and then have 15 to just, an extra 10 that we can actually put away, an extra 5 for some other equipment, and then go to the next. You got it. People aren't really, and $10,000 is probably not even a good, a correct amount. I'm only using that figure just because that's all that came to my mind. But so do you guys feel prepared for that type of pressure? Because I think it's gonna get wonderful, but I think the quality of music, I think, is gonna be extremely high. And it is already. I mean, you go on Instagram and you see like, so, and I'm not talking about virtuoso guitar players that shred. That bores me. But
Homemade sounds.
yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like actual songwriters and just really good players, and really songs. Songs. That's where you got to focus on. It's like you got to focus on melody. If it's 3 chords, who cares? It's like that's what you got to focus on. It's the song. You guys feel like you can, you're ready for, I mean, obviously there's a progression, but how do you guys feel about that? I'm
Of
talking
course,
to Mike. What was that?
Um,
I missed that.
chord progression.
Oh yeah.
Uh, well, uh, for those of you that have watched our last Music Makers, between two books, I have about 50 songs
Mhm.
written. About, let's say, maybe 60 to 75% of them are fully written. They need to be put together with the band.
Mhm.
Uh, but when it comes to the creative front, I think some of us are uh, more receptive to external stimuli and um, being able to receive that inspiration when it comes than others.
Yeah.
Um, and being able to translate that into something that is like tangible and exists. Uh, when it comes to the business side, I also think that we're coming to a group consensus because we do have structure in the band, pretty tight structure when it comes to uh, having meetings and discussing important matters and getting organization, making sure that everything is as stable as possible, discussing money, making sure we're always in the black. Obviously, we need to spend money to make money, but make sure you spend less than
And you have
uh, what you have to make back. Um, there are some avenues that we definitely need to improve on. Uh, Definitely when it comes to researching and organizing for.
my daughter's going to bed. Sorry.
Hey, Brianna. Good night. So when it comes to really when it comes to dealing with important executives and like expanding that network, because networking is really one of the most
Yeah.
important parts of the whole music experience. If you're gonna make a business out of it,
Yeah.
your life is your business and your business is your life. So you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta spend a lot of time networking and
Yeah. That applies
harnessing
with
your
every
skills.
every business really when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's what I think about the break time
Yeah.
situation. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, I say that I do agree with everything you just said there. First of all, second of all,
Stability.
what?
Stability.
Yeah, and but I feel that you know we need to like write a lot more, in order to kind of keep that momentum of originals going. And that's why like pretty soon I'll be starting to get back into the flow of songwriting again. Come up with different, uh, at the very least, at times, at least maybe like a chord progression or something, at the very least, and then eventually bring it to Sean and play it for him, see if he likes it, whatever. And also on top of that,
Everybody likes it.
you know, also on top of that, try to put lyrics to it, best I can, and we could work with that and so on and so forth. But I feel like I shouldn't be, just the only other person besides Sean to write stuff. I feel that, Andres, has to also, step up and try to write something, anything, I guess at this point, and we'll
And
turn
Joey.
the break time gold. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Big
the
time.
the
Gotta have goals. And we do.
yeah, yeah. I think really getting in a room and just putting songs together, like putting 10 songs together. I think that really is really the key factor. Just getting. You guys hear my son crying over there by any chance?
I think
you,
very.
Quite
you don't hear him?
slightly.
It's bedtime and he doesn't want to go to sleep, so I do the same
I
thing.
would blame
Yeah.
him.
He gets it
No
from
reason
me.
to go to
He's
bed.
a natural born rock and roller. Doesn't want to
Yeah,
go to sleep.
exactly.
Rock and roller in the making there.
Got the
So
hair.
yeah. So I think that getting together is probably going to be your guys where you really, the more you do that, obviously, is going to be the key factor. Putting that content together and then documenting the songs and then listening to them and being objective about it and not being too critical of someone else's songs or whatever. Maybe try to make their songs better, in a positive way, and
Mhm.
just really work on every single part of the song as if it's you're doing surgery, and really look at break down the song. Why doesn't this work? Or words sometimes don't flow, Whoa.
Well,
He's
Give
got
me one
some
second.
range.
sure.
Live on YouTube.
He's got some range. How we doing, YouTube? If you look in the background there, we got a nice picture of the band. You see on the left, they got Tommy Delaney
With my signature Les Paul. No, I'm kidding.
outfitted with
Not
P90s.
yet. Anyway, it's not signature Les Paul yet, but it's gonna be one day.
It's gonna have a Bigsby on it. What else are we gonna
And
put
that's
on it?
about it.
Hey.
It's something.
Sorry about that.
And you can see
Um,
me hanging out by a pillar,
Yeah.
propping myself up on the side there with my basic guitar.
So what was I
Hey,
saying? I forgot
everybody.
what I was saying. I was saying something
Hey.
about just working on those songs and really breaking them down and breaking them into sections on what works, what doesn't work. It's such a sign. Take a lot of classes on. You don't have to take you don't have to take the what do you call it, the theory, or just the theory. This is how it's supposed to be done. You don't have to take that so
I
serious.
got by with one theory class.
Yeah.
About 50 songs. So
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I mean, a lot of it is really just doing it, listening to a lot of songs, a lot of music, breaking them down,
Yeah.
and a lot of those, some of them, of those workshops, those songwriting workshops, they really do help because they will show you structure and why something works. Like why certain phrases and words and work. And I think that that's important to study and just incorporate that into your songwriting and stuff. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. As an independent artist, that's part of that's like a division, right? Like you have a company and you have different divisions, and
we got the
that's a
songwriting,
division.
publishing,
Yeah,
distribution.
yeah, and if you look at it within like an organization board, where you have divisions and you have different departments and where I know it sounds like boring to do it that way, but my point on that is that because it is called
Businessman.
the music business, right? It's not called the music circus, right? Because everybody would have been like, "Hey, are you in the music circus?" Yeah, that's not it. It's the music
I
business,
made the music for the person that goes across on the tightrope.
right? Exactly. So if you were to like really look at it that way, the music business, then I think it makes it a lot more confrontable when you're in a room with four guys trying to make a song and trying to figure out, does this sound good? Because I'm telling you, once you play a song like 4 or 5 times, by that fifth time, you're like, let's try this. And then if you're paying it for a week, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a year, the same song, that song it could either go through all these evolutions and then you might end up hating it. You know what I mean? And then you realize,
Most artists hate their most successful song.
yeah, and they don't like to talk about it because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings if they
Play Piano Man again. That one.
and the thing is he can't like do a show without ending the show with that. Like he can't do
Sure.
that. If I were him, I would come out and that's the first song I do.
Yeah, like, I'll get it out of the way. I'll just get it out
Yeah,
of the way.
just like a piano center, dark. He comes out, and then the mic goes, and just play it, and everybody goes crazy. And then get that out of the way, and then he can do some new stuff. And,
All right, good night, everybody.
good night.
That's all you
Yeah,
wanted.
there you
That's
go.
all you wanted. So
Yeah.
okay.
I saw this thing with John Mayer. he had I like John Mayer a lot. I follow him all the time and stuff, and he was talking about the set
Go
list.
Mata.
Yeah. So he goes, so John Mayer picks up a sheet of paper and he's like, he goes, so there's the set list for tonight. He shows it to the audience. It says gravity, 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 break, gravity, gravity, and then encore, gravity. So that's tonight. I was
Well,
laughing. It's like he has to play gravity or else it's not a show. You know, although he's got some great songs, he probably doesn't have to, but I think if people go to see him and he doesn't play Gravity, I think people are gonna be upset. You know what I mean? But yeah, he does. I don't know if you guys follow John Mayer, but he does on Sunday nights. He does. You do follow him? Do you watch his live?
I haven't been able to, but
Okay, he does
since
a
school's done now,
he
I
does
will.
it's 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast. I think he's West, but
Hmm.
on the East Coast it's 10 o'clock at night on Sunday nights. It's called Current Mood, and it's just him in his house, and he's decided to have his own show. So he made his own set, and he has all these little cheesy sets and stuff, and then he writes jokes, and it's like, and every once in a while he'll play guitar. Amazing guitar player, but it's freaking hilarious. But why did I go into that? Oh, because I like John Mayer, and he's funny. Um, so
Oh,
here's my ideal situation for break time. Maybe my arrogance talking, which it comes out a lot. I control it. I think that you guys, I think that you guys
Can you see?
have a tremendous amount of potential, not because of the songs, because I haven't really heard anything. You know, I've heard you guys play. You guys are great musicians. But I think you guys
You
have a
heard the
great potential
tribute.
because you
You'll
can.
be you'll
What was that?
be loving if you heard the tribute, you'll be loving the original.
There you go.
That's gonna be our new catchphrase.
That's the new thing.
Yeah, I'm trademarking that with the U.S. Copyright Office immediately.
You better hurry up.
yeah, better.
So
You see that? Wait. I just did it. I just made $27 as well. I just made
nice. Wow.
Wow, that was fast.
the stock market.
So I think that you guys have a lot of potential because of the fact that you guys can communicate really well, and you guys can listen to, not just me, but you listen to people and you ask the right questions. You know what I mean? Like that day when we were talking with George, I guess it was last week, when you were asking questions, they were really, I thought to myself, I was like, those are really the right questions to ask going into what you guys are about to do. You know what I mean? I didn't think about that, but those are the right questions to ask. And because of that, I think you guys have a tremendous amount of potential. You guys have to get really good, like so good that when you walk on the stage, you're not even thinking about how to play a song or how to do anything.
How do I
know,
play this song?
That's my game face.
yeah, I see that.
I think you'll creep people out if you do that, Sean.
You're gonna
I
frighten the
apologize
children.
for those watching.
As long as there are no children in the audience, you'll be fine.
That's true.
If there are going to be a lot of parents walking out like this, it's okay, Tommy.
How are
It's
you
okay.
doing?
Just
break
stay over
time.
here, Tommy.
I use Tommy as like the kid name because you're I should use another name. It's okay, Nick.
That works out well because he's like the innocent fellow in the band.
Even though
I think that's
look
his
like,
shtick. That's gonna be his image. He's the innocent fellow. He's like the innocent blonde.
The quiet ones you got to look out for.
and the
They're very observant, those quiet ones. I would know.
Yeah,
and the ones that look like Jesus. You got.
I was a quiet one.
yeah, and the ones that look like Jesus.
I'm looking more and more like Jesus every day during this whole thing.
Yeah, amen to that.
Amen.
Amen.
So do you guys have any questions about stuff? I mean, I know we covered some stuff. My situation with the record industry was not a good one. because we were in a different era and different. The competition was so fierce, and I think now it seems to be a little bit more broad because of the internet. I think it exposed people to different types of music, and you can have a genre which is kind of like rock but not rock and fits into
Alternative.
somewhere, and you can find
Indie.
you can find your audience.
Oh,
But we were in just that middle Pearl Jam world that it was just like there was just so many bands out there. It was ridiculous. So you relied on getting a record deal, So, but do you guys have any questions or anything on that, or any opinions, or any other views before we wrap it up?
Tommy, I'll have you go first because I'm going through the Rolodex right now.
Oh boy.
I'm picking a topic appropriate question.
Okay, you go first, Jesus.
Jesus de Cristo.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm gonna be straight up honest. I'm still trying to think of something to ask.
Okay.
Here.
I told you he was the innocent blonde.
You don't have to. You don't have to ask anything.
That's Tommy's shtick.
It wasn't a mandatory. This wasn't
I mean,
a.
hey, I mean, I don't want to just not ask a question. I wanted to see if I could think of something. But
all right. So,
if you have a question, Sean.
all right. So,
Like, where did you get your hat?
all right.
But why are you wearing that?
The hat is pretty
Why are you wearing
timely. A favorite like thing of a lot of people today is like that cowboy hat emoji.
Yeah, I have a bunch of hats. I when I always wear hats when I do stuff, but I didn't because I had these headphones, and I couldn't wear headphones over this. So
Now you
I
got the
figured
blue
out
mic.
the green screen, and I figured out I got my mic hooked up properly, and I got a new camera and all that stuff. So now I'm a little bit more free that I can wear hats and scarves if I want to.
Right.
Goggles.
So specifically, when you were in negotiations and dealings for like finding a record label, negotiating with a record label, I guess describe the describe your experience like when it comes to like all the litigation behind it. If there's a specific part that you remembered that is vital for up and coming bands, not only us but just any bands that are like watching right now that they should really pay attention to if they come up to that point and they're about to like sign their lives away.
Right. I mean, there's two things. There's two sides of it, I should say. There's the side of when I was playing, and then when I was actually at the record label. Both sides are insane, but when you're playing, when you're and you're meeting, we met with a lot of people. We weren't officially signed. We would have. I mean, I say we would have, but we were. When Dave passed, we had shows booked, upstate New York. We had a couple of songs playing on rotation on some radio stations, and we were gonna hit those towns and stuff. And MySpace was just getting off the ground, and we were getting a ton of people from MySpace coming on, and yeah, and it was kind of going in that direction. So we definitely knew we were gonna go in that route, but when we did meet with a couple of different places for events, for opening acts, you meet with a bunch of people. One of the things that I really feel that we lacked, all of us, I'm not gonna name names or anything. You know who you are. But I think we had to be more in the present time, in the moment, and to really observe the room and the people before listening to the words. It's like sometimes you say, don't what's the expression about don't listen to what people say, but see what they do. Something like that. Not necessarily what they say, right? Because people are salesmen. I mean, they can talk you into a lot of shit, but what do they do? What are their actions? So like one particular time that we were at this record label place, and we were in the studio, and we walked in, and we were almost this close to signing something, but we walked in the room, and like everyone was high in there, like, and I'm look, I mean, it's a new era, right? People are smoking weed like it's
Yeah, man.
walking down the street smoking weed, you know what I mean? And it's whatever it is, I don't know. I have my own opinions on that, which I'll maybe someday we can talk about, have a show on drugs and rock and roll.
How does weed affect your music?
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Exactly. Maybe one day we can have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
But for
When a man
me,
loves a woman.
Just a quick supplementary announcement: don't do drugs.
the room for me was aberrated. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it wasn't a good, comfortable room. And for us to sign anything, and I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't remember what the hell we were signing. But I remember leaving there and thinking to myself, no way in hell. And then when we went out, some of the guys were like, sounds like a good deal, right? Let's do it. And I was like, what?
Like a good
Are you-
deal, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
reading the words and not reading the people.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just, so that's really important. Just make sure that you do keep that in mind, that you are actually paying attention to the
Surround
person.
yourself with good people.
Yeah, the person in front of you is got to be somebody that you can really trust, and that, I mean, it's hard to know that. I mean, it's hard to know that right off the bat. But you do have to kind of go with your instincts, and but then again, observe. You know what I mean? Observe the room. You know what I mean? Observe the environment. Observe the friends of the guy who's talking to you. If the guy has friends that are like, look like yikes, then good chance that he's either not clear enough to know what's around him.
That's
Hey!
Get
He's
the
a
hell out of
good guy. That's my
Yeah.
bodyguard. That's my bodyguard.
Exactly. And you have to make sure you
back off, man.
have that kind of thing. On the other side of it, as the label guy, I remember the meeting a lot of people in the industry, because whenever we would go somewhere, there was a perception that would build, because the guys were so good. So when they would perform, by the way, these guys would go on stage, and if there were 10 artists performing, they blew everyone away. I mean, they would embarrass some of the guys. I mean, they were that good, and they are that good still. So when we would go to shows, they'd be chilling, whatever, and suddenly they perform. If they're performing like early in the show, forget it. I mean, I'm getting bombarded by people talking to me and, wanting, hey, yo, this is my CD, yo, this is my card, yo, give me a call, yo, I love to work with you, hey, all that kind of stuff. And that kind of flow, if you're working with somebody that's managing you guys, you want to make sure that he's able to like wean out what's coming at him. You know what I mean? That he's not like, yeah, come on to the studio, hang out with the guys. We're gonna record next week. Why don't you come down? There are people that are like that. They just get so excited that somebody's paying attention to them that they'll just give them the shop and invite them over and say, come on down. And that's kind of like, you can probably do that if you really feel something special with somebody and you have a meaningful conversation of more than 10 minutes. You can then do something like that. But that again comes with the present time moment, and being in the present time, and not being so much in what could happen, what might happen, what should happen, what happened in the past, what all that stuff. So really the biggest advice that I would always give to any, not even bands, but just anybody in the arts, is to be in the present time. Like when you walk in a room, and I do this through, a lot of studies through my church and stuff, where I walk in a room, I always look around and I take the room in. I want to know where I am. I want to know who's in the room. I want to know the feel of the room. I want to be friendly with everybody. I want to look at everybody and see if, if I catch an eye, I want to smile. I want to, what I mean? I want to make sure that that everything is cool. You know what I mean? And if you walk in a room, which I have, hey there, hi. If you walk in a room where you get people ignoring you, or people clicking and going on a little click in the corner and stuff like that, then it's kind of like, it is what it is, and you have to deal with it. But I pick it up right away. So I'm not going to suddenly just go like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with those guys that are over there just ignoring everybody. I know better to like not go into that direction. And hey, there's two, there's a young lady and a dude over there, and they're smiling and they're waving. Hey, I'm gonna go talk to them. Just you have to go with the positive emotion, something that drives, that propels you. That to me is really what any artist should always be thinking with. And because they're leeches, you know, in the industry, and what the reason they're there is because they can't do it, but
Mhm.
they want to be part of it. So they will leech onto you so
Hey,
you
can
can
I sit
actually,
in on a session? Can I sit in on
yeah,
a session?
can I come in? Can I come in? Can
Can
I
I
come
sit in
in?
with you guys? Can
I've had
Yeah,
people say to me,
Yoko, huh?
I? Oh, yo, go.
I've had people say like,
Nickelback.
oh, John, I've
Get
had people
back.
say like, John, take me with you, man. I'm like, take you. What are you talking about?
Where am I
That
taking
makes
you
no
with me?
sense.
Where am I
Take
And
taking
you
I just
where?
wanted to point out we've
you?
kept up the
Mercury?
streak of mocking Nickelback every episode, and we're going to continue with that as we go forward. We're going to give them a
Yo,
hard time
Nickelback.
because
Apparently.
I don't even know what's a famous Nickelback song.
Look at this photograph.
Oh, okay.
It's that one. That's the biggest
Is,
one.
is that the biggest one?
I
Okay,
think
that's
from
the
my
only one.
knowledge, I've heard it so many times now, so it's their biggest song.
You know what? I think I might have heard that song, but never played it.
Probably did.
You know what I mean? Like I must have heard it. I
Leave
don't
a
know
comment
where.
if you heard that song before.
How long? How
leave a
long was
comment
that?
if you hate Nickelback. Come and follow Break Time at Break Time Live NJ across all platforms. We welcome you. Join us.
Is Nickelback
Um,
still together?
you know,
Are they?
I thought they were kind of, sort of, but I don't know.
I guess.
Well, in
Well,
all
welcome to
fairness,
the
we
Church of
shouldn't hate
Break
bands.
Timeology.
We shouldn't hate bands unless they're like Nazis or something.
I'll,
All they
Nazi
all
band.
they did was write a song.
unless
That's
they're
probably
just
what they're that's probably what they're saying at home. All we did was write one freaking song
yeah.
and play to thousands and thousands
All
of
I
people
did
and
was
sell
write
millions of
one
records.
And they're saying we're
song.
sorry
All we
because
did.
they're Canadian, right? So they're probably saying, "Oh, we're sorry, eh? We wrote one song, eh?"
All we did, eh? Was just write like one
Eh?
song, eh? But listen, in the 70s, if you remember Barry Manilow, Barry Manilow was
I read
huge in the 70s, monster. Then in the 80s, there was just like
the
this hating.
Copa.
People started hating him, and then in the 90s, they loved him, and now they still love him. You know, um, so artists go through that phase, and they'll like I look at Maroon 5 as a band that like I don't even know where their music is. I don't necessarily hate it. It's like I'll listen to what's that song with the Mick Jagger one,
Yeah, move
Dance
like
Like
Jagger.
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 Yeah, that's a nice
Yeah.
song to dance to.
And
It's a
do
good groovy
Sugar.
song. But is that rock? Is that pop? Is that
Yeah,
it's
it's
just a
stuff to
pop.
pinpoint.
It's a pop song
Yeah.
basically, right? I mean, it's by pop meaning popular, but no, I don't mean popular in the sense that it's popular. I mean it has the elements of a pop song. It has the structure of a pop song,
Mhm.
and I don't hate it. Um, but I can't label it. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. And to be honest with you, with the
Label.
whole Nickelback thing, I don't hate like Creed went through that, right? They came out towards the end of the grunge thing, and they came out sounding like Pearl Jam. With arms wide open. That whole song, and everyone just gave him such a hard time. And I remember thinking they got signed, they put out a song, it was huge. They played to like lots of people, thousands of people. You know what I mean? And then for some reason, something changed, and so on. So I think that it's a marketing thing. I think that their record label then refuses to market them properly, or because I don't think that suddenly everyone is going to start hating a group, because what happens is it creates a snowball effect,
Yeah.
and
They
then
said they're
people start,
bigger than Jesus. Burn their records.
yeah, and I mean, when you say stuff like that, it's sort of like, I mean, obviously it's to shake
Definitely
people
an
up,
out.
and yeah, you know what I mean, and it worked. Sometimes it works positively, and sometimes it works negatively. I look at what's her name, Cardi B, right? Cardi is the wildest person. She's like so unfiltered completely. She doesn't care about anything. She just says it. And there's part of me that loves that. You know what I mean? Because I hold back, because I have to sometimes, but I love the saying stupid,
Authenticity. It's being
shocking
a real
people.
person.
And yeah. I mean, she curses a little bit too much, and it's a little bit more of on the vulgar side of it.
Be careful, kiddies.
Yeah. But for me, it's sort of like I wouldn't hate her. You know what I mean? I just think that that's who she is, and someone is accepting it, and not only accepting it, but pushing it and paying her and doing a lot of marketing for her with that personality. You know what I mean? It's like, do I think the Beatles would make it today, being the nice boys from Liverpool that made these songs about love and stuff? And I'm not talking about the material. I'm talking about that group, those personalities, those characters. They were nice. You have to
They
kind
can
of
handle the
wonder.
press. They can really handle the press.
They can handle the press, but are they marketable in the ears of the system? Because the system
Today,
sometimes thinks
it's
that,
totally different. Yeah.
yeah, the
Today.
system sometimes thinks that Post Malone is popular. He's got a look. He's also really talented and stuff, but he's got a look and he gets a lot of love. You know what I mean? But I know so many artists that are just incredible artists and get no love. And when you see their interviews, they're like really nice people. So I don't know. I guess it's a conspiracy theory that I'm actually going on, but I'm just
Hey,
wondering.
John, what's a Facebook?
Yeah, what's a Facebook?
I've never seen
I don't
albums
know.
this small before. Apparently, you can download them from the cloud. Where's the cloud?
Where's the cloud, Paul? So I think that there's a fine line between being overly nice and then a rock and roll guy. I think what you have to be is genuine.
Mhm.
And that's what people read. And that's, I think, why Cardi B is Cardi B, because she's genuine and people just know she's genuine. Whether you like her or not is besides the point. She's just genuine.
I ain't
It's
sorry for what I said.
Yeah, right.
He
She's
gives
like, I
me
don't give a about what and all right, she shouldn't be sorry for anything that she said, and she's doing her thing. Um, I don't really, I can't even find artists that, I mean, there are artists that I know, like Justin Timberlake, that I hear is very nice. He can fill up a stadium, fill up a big arena. There are guys like what's that other, I mean, John Mayer is a nice guy, very, very hugely famous Grammy Award winning dude. So
Joe
there
Bonamassa.
are, yeah, but I think that those are genuinely the way they are, and that's what comes across. So
Yeah, that Nerdsville thing is like fantastic for
yeah,
Joe.
the
That's a perfect thing for him. Perfect thing to market.
there you
I'm a
go.
guitar nerd,
Yeah,
and
nerds are, I think
nerd
I mean,
alert.
when I was growing up, they always said
there's something alluring to it.
they said be nice to nerds because you're gonna work for them. You're gonna work for one someday. So it was that was like but now nerds are cool, because
Mhm.
I do consider myself a nerd, when it comes to a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like
They're a great
music.
band too. Check out the Nerds
Oh,
if you've never listened to the Nerds or seen them live.
right. I mean, I am definitely a nerd when it comes to a bunch of stuff, but yeah. So, all right, cool. So anyway, that was my little I think I went off on I don't know what the hell I was talking about for a while,
Yeah,
but
yeah. We were gonna log off like 15 minutes ago, but this is great. This is great.
It is great.
I don't. I like to go into subjects when I get an idea about that because you know why? You know what triggered that for me was Nickelback
Yeah.
conversation because I don't think that Nickelback should be hated. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because they wrote
I
one
mean, I
song.
barely listen to them, so I can't really hate them. But I joke about it.
Apparently, is the stigma is that most of the music they make is like just sounds the same.
And
I think
that's
that's
fine.
the
Yeah.
stigma.
I never listened to them, so I don't know.
That's their thing, apparently.
Yeah. But I mean, again, it's like
But
if
it
that is
works
their
apparently,
sound, that is their sound. You know, what I mean, it's like
and it works.
it,
I
it
mean,
must work. You know, what I mean, I listen to
a lot
Bon
of fun.
Jovi, and if I listen to one song of Bon Jovi and another song of Bon Jovi, I know it's Bon Jovi.
Mhm.
I'm never listening
In the
to. I'm
production,
not.
right?
I don't know.
Who's
Bruce
this
Springsteen comes out. He's like,
faithful?
"Who's in the show was on?"
Mhm.
I know it's Bruce. I mean, he
Yeah.
ain't gonna change anything. He's gonna have his 5 or 6 chords, and he's gonna
Baby,
tell
I
a
was
great story.
born to run.
Yeah, and that's Bruce Springsteen. And so I'm not. So anyway, that's what triggered that for me.
That's the magic of the Zoom idea
That's the
Yeah,
magic
and the
of
talk show
music,
idea.
folks.
yeah,
The open forum,
and
the mastermind group, people with different specialties coming together to bring content to you today.
I'm gonna end on this note. You never know who you're gonna meet in this business. You might run into a Nickelback manager back in the day. You might run into somebody that worked on
The
their
world is
crew that
incredibly
knows.
small.
You never know who you're gonna meet. That's why I always say
I
never
mean,
crap on anyone.
We love you, Nickelback. We're just ripping.
Yeah,
We're still gonna
never.
keep
I
picking
mean,
you, but
I love Nickelback, man. What are you talking about?
it's just a gimmick, guys. It's just a
Yeah.
gimmick.
It's a joke, people.
And
Please.
always be aware of the bandwagon.
Mhm.
Because people love that bandwagon, and usually, like whenever I see someone is always
gotta
on
get
this
back.
bandwagon thing, I always pull back, and I'm like, why are they doing that? Why is suddenly
they doing?
everyone doing that? You know what I mean? And I question it, and
Jump on the break time bandwagon.
yeah,
Why they like this band? What's
Yeah.
going on with these guys?
yeah, and especially like even with Barry Manilow, I remember in the '80s when Barry Manilow, there was like a whole thing about hating him, whatever. And I'm thinking in the '70s, though he was all over the radio, and I thought, you know what? I am not going to fall into that. I like Barry Manilow, and I'm going to publicly say it. And I used to say it in the Bronx, which is not really popular, but I used to say it in the Bronx, and I would say like,
Ha! This kid
I
like
like it.
Barry Manilow.
I'm saying
And
it
I-
with
and
my
hip hop.
chest, man. I'm saying it with my chest, man.
Say it with your chest, man. Say it with your chest.
right. I like Barry Manilow. All right, he writes the songs that make the world sing. Puto. So
He was
yeah,
at the
so I think
Copacabana, man.
The Copacabana.
that's right. He's got some great songs, man. I tell you what, he's got a
I love
song.
the
You
vibe of
might,
that
appre-
song. It's a great song.
you might appreciate this, Sean. He's got an album. It was he did an album, very laid back acoustic album, of songs from the '70s, like hit songs from the '70s, all the classics that we all know.
He plays
And
the
then he had
song to
like
make the world.
4 or 5 of his own compositions, but redone and with just piano mainly, like mainly with piano. He did a Copacabana version there, which with it's very very like with like congas and just like a maraca. Yeah, it's really really cool. Get a chance to listen to that album. It was a really cool album. I was like, this is good stuff. So
I
and
got
it wasn't in the '70s. I think he did that like in 2000s or something. So it was in the last 20 years, I believe.
to
So
do an episode of Music Makers about successful artists that cover songs in a new vein or cover songs in a realm that they haven't done before. Because I had an experience a few months ago with Tommy. We went to KP Sorelli's, great food, KP Sorelli's. Check them out, anybody in Bayonne. Best eggplant and penny vodka I've ever had
Nice.
in my life. There were this duo playing on music on Broadway. Thanks to Terry Young for that. We'd love to get involved with that eventually. Piano Bill and Abby, and
Oh yeah.
Bill is a big fan of James Taylor, but
Oh,
James Taylor released an album recently covering covering like jazz songs, like jazz and
mhm.
country songs, and Bill, he just said it was a total flop. So like
Huh.
we could discuss maybe the effect
Mm.
of time and having past success on the perception of an artist's sound and what is comfortable to their listeners.
Yeah.
That's a good. Let's
We
do
can
that
also
next
bring
week.
up.
I like that.
So
I like that. Yeah.
we can also bring up.
That's a big thing because we can talk about Bob Dylan when he went electric and got booed off the stage. Oh, he got booed. I don't know if he got off, but I think he shortened his set.
You're
Oh,
acoustic, man. Why'd you do that? That hurt my feelings,
yeah.
man. You were flower power.
You could talk about Bruce Springsteen when he left the E Street Band and went solo and came up with that album. I can't remember the name of the album. Oh, Human
I would remember. I think
Human Touch, I think it was.
probably.
Of that human touch, something like that. And he had that song, 57 channels and nothing on. 57 channels, a great song. But he had and he went solo on that, and he took a lot of heat on that one. Took a lot of heat. So yeah, that's a whole conversation. I like that. That's good.
And
That's
then we can also
I did
bring
not.
up too.
John Fogerty is separate from Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
right.
And also, I know like an album we can bring up as well with regards to that. It's called Run Devil Run by
Oh
Paul
yes,
McCartney,
yes.
which
Paul
is
McCartney
basically
covering rockabilly.
By who?
like cover album.
Paul McCartney.
And I'm just gonna say I listened to a lot of those songs. They're rock and roll.
Really?
They're more than just rockabilly. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Yeah. The production on that album was great. Yeah,
Really?
love the
to me,
sound.
like,
I think David
Nice.
Gilmour played on that album too.
Wow.
good nonetheless.
Not
And
mistaken.
and then there are the success ones like Rod Stewart when he did his traditional ballads or standards album went huge. He just, and that was something that he would never expect him to do, with his type of voice, to be singing these standard classics, Sinatra type songs. And so yeah, that'd be interesting to talk about that. I think we did already, but we'll elaborate on it next time.
This is a teaser for all of
Teaser.
you watching.
That's all
Yeah,
you
let's do that. Let's
all you
talk
got.
about that next week because I don't have anything set up for next week unless we get a particular guest, and then I'll. But if not, we'll bring the guest in, and that's our subject. All right, folks, let's end this because we can probably go on for another hour talking about stuff. So
We could go on a 24-hour marathon.
that's right. As always, it's always a pleasure. Sean, Tommy, thank you so much. Of break time and
Yeah.
break time. Where can they find you? If anybody's still watching at this point,
And awake at this
if
point.
anybody, let me just say one thing. If anybody gets
We
to this
love you.
point of this video,
Is there
We love
anybody
you.
alive out there?
email me at johnhenrysoto@gmail.com. If you get to this point, at johnhenrysoto@gmail.com.
If
And
you
we'll
do,
shout you out in the next video.
I'm posing. I'm posing this right now. When we get out of quarantine, when we're on parole, and it's acceptable, you can go out for coffee with break time and John Henry Soto.
That's right. And if you email me and you get to this point, I will email you a little goodie bag with like some CDs, maybe a t-shirt, a hat. I'll send you some stuff. If you get to this point,
a pointless keychain.
Yes.
I'm putting now here's the thing, Sean, Tommy, you can't tell anyone about this 'cause then they're gonna be like, hey, yeah,
Right.
I saw the show at the end there. Where's my goodie bag?
Yep.
Mega.
Tommy, why'd you tell your whole family? Your
Yep,
dad
yep,
keeps
yep.
calling.
Yep, the break time war chest is gonna go
Seriously,
in the red with that one if we
Don't
want that to get out.
take it seriously.
For the love of God.
Break time budget down the toilet.
Down the toilet. I'll take care of
We'll
that.
get
Don't
there
worry. About that.
eventually.
That's
though.
fine.
We'll get there eventually.
All right, folks. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. We will talk again tomorrow night. If anybody's still on again, tomorrow night I have on Elam Bowman. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he does
Yes, I've seen him around on the Facebook.
yeah, he does amazing sneaker work and artwork. He's an amazing artist. And so he's going to be on tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow we're going on a little bit later. So tomorrow's at 10 o'clock. And I'll be posting that up tonight and tomorrow
Tune
as
in,
well.
people. Tune in.
Yes, tune in if you're still watching and you've already gotten the goodie bag. If you tune in tomorrow,
John, just shut up.
we will give you
Not
another
only
bag.
coffee, I will take you to dinner
Yes, we will go
Depending on
to
if you're a female.
the restaurant.
at Sorelli's.
Yes, KP Sorelli's. And you can take anybody from break time home with you.
Well, I'm not endorsing that one.
I'm not endorsing that.
I am single.
I'm not endorsing that one, but you guys
Well,
will work
on
that
that
out
note-
when we get when I get all the emails in. We'll work that out.
You can DM me at Sean Keymaster.
Well,
All right, guys.
Peace out, everybody.
I'll see you guys later on this week. Maybe John, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna send you a message about something. I'll do that later on tomorrow. I'll email you.
All
And,
right, you can contact me whenever. I don't sleep, so
what was that?
One
Oh, yeah,
hour
you don't
doesn't
sleep. That's right.
if anybody's still watching, if any females are still out there, I have the energy. I have stamina. I don't sleep.
I think we're all really tired. I think we're
okay,
just.
I'm out. That's it.
Break
It's
time
almost 11.
PR machine goes down the dumps with that one.
Almost 11.
All right.
We've been on for like almost an hour and
Hey,
15.
everybody.
Girls, girls, we love you. And guys who want to be us, we love you
First
too,
of all,
but not in that way.
You gotta have long,
Okay.
luscious hair like me. That's how you gotta make it.
But you mean and with the beard or?
I mean, the beard's optional. I mean, if you don't like it, that's fine. It all depends on what genre of music you're going into. If you're
doing hillbilly rock and roll,
if you're doing country, then I would say do the beard. But
All right, guys.
John,
gonna hang-
for the good
I'm
of
gonna hang
break
up on
time.
you now.
for real,
I'm gonna hang up on you because I think you're both drunk.
We're
There was
high
no
on life.
tea in there, was there? That was an
We love you
Irish.
guys. Thank you for watching.
Irish
At Break
coffee.
Time Live NJ, everything. At Break Time
Okay,
Live
guys.
NJ. No spaces, no underscores, no umlauts,
And be
no
sure to follow me, too.
backwards dashes. Just Break Time Live NJ. One word. Yeah.
Tell me the
If you
music,
want to
man.
see
Tell
us
me
play live, give us a yeah in the comments.
And good night. Good
Yeah.
night on 3. 1, 2, and 3.
Ah.